Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and for hitting the like button. Today we have 4 great stories. If you enjoy them, please subscribe and hit the like button. And now let's begin. The first story is called "You Have No Power Here." I work as a contractor for a very large organization. Within my contract company, there's one person who holds power over me. Within the company we contract for, I have 2 bosses I answer to. Unfortunately, there's someone in the contract company who clearly wants power over others. The way he tries to get it is by constantly trying to tell people how to do their job, or try to find ways to say they're not doing it well. He was also always tattling to my company's boss on anything he can. Finally, I had enough, so cue malicious compliance. The guy comes into my department, goes through stock I have on hand and informs me we don't have enough on hand and I need to order more. I comply by taking a full inventory of all parts that can serve the same purpose as the one he mentioned, and brought the list to one of the bosses of the larger organization. His response was perfect. Tell him to use the other parts if he needs to. I waited until the afternoon break so I could say it in front of a bunch of people. Hey, just to let you know, I checked with the boss. He said currently stock levels are fine. What do you mean? Approval has to come from him for orders. I'll have to have a talk with him then. To be clear, the boss he's talking about is unbelievably higher than him and also thinks he's a jerk. Haven't heard anything in 3 weeks, so I know I'm good. Still get sweet dreams off of the look on his face when I got to throw it back in his face. The next story is called "Should Listen to the Chem Guy." I used to sell pool and hot tub chemicals. A part of the job is testing customers' pool and hot tub water to see what chemicals they needed. If you don't take care of your pool or check it often, you need a lot of chemicals to fix the mess you've made. Particularly if you use chlorine pucks. They generally have such a low pH level that it burns away at your heater coil and causes you to have copper in your water. Well, a couple of years ago, a customer came up to me to test their pool water. It was a complete mess and it had a bunch of copper in it. Yeah, the main issue is your pH is so low that it's making your chlorine less effective and you have copper in your water. Just get me the stuff I need to fix it. I go and grab all the chemicals he needs and put them on the counter. How much is all of this going to cost? Around $250. I'm not paying that much. Is all of this really necessary? Yes, you won't be able to hold chlorine and you need to get the copper out. If you oxidize copper with a shock, it's going to stain parts of your pool and can even tint your hair green, if you have recently dyed blonde hair. My daughter is having a pool party next weekend and I just want the pool to have chlorine for then. Yes, and you need all of this to make sure you're good to go. Can you just put everything away and only give me the chlorine? Fine. I'm not going to argue, I don't work on commission. Fast forward a couple of days and the customer's wife came in. It was subtle, but you could tell her hair had a funny tint to it. She asked for all the chemicals that I recommended to her husband and she paid with zero hesitation. The husband never came in ever again and his wife took care of the pool from that moment forward. The next time the wife came in, it looked like her hair had been dyed the original blonde color she used to have. The third story is called "Forced to Take More Money." I used to work for a government department. About 10 years ago, my wife and I bought our first travel trailer and we had planned a glamping vacation. After we both had booked the time off from our employers, there was a last-minute conference scheduled that I was required to attend. Rather than cancelling my vacation or skipping the conference, I asked if I could take my trailer instead of flying. That way I could still have my trip, albeit a different destination, and still attend the conference. After the conference was over, we would carry on with our vacation. I was approved with the understanding that I would only be compensated for the equivalent cost of flying and staying in a hotel. While not covering the entire cost, especially fuel for towing a large trailer, I was very happy with the arrangement. At the end of the conference, we would travel to our original destination via a different route. All went well on our first long-distance trip of 1300 kilometers to the conference and another 2500 kilometers on our extended route home. I came home, claimed the 4 nights in campgrounds, meals and kilometers equivalent to the airfare. Everyone was happy until the auditor checked claims about a month later. He told our claims people that employees are not allowed to accept less than they would be entitled to, whatever the travel mode. So when they approved me going by my own vehicle, they needed to pay the full cost. Even though I was happy with the arrangement, it didn't matter. The auditor gave them a month to correct the claim. I was told there was a maximum number of kilometers I was allowed to drive per day. So instead of claiming 1 day up and 1 day back, I claimed 3 days up and 3 days back for campgrounds and meals. Plus, I claimed back 4 days of vacation because I was working those days. I also got the government kilometer rate for the entire distance, not just the equivalent to airfare. Altogether, I had to claim another $1,600. While I was perfectly happy with the original arrangement, I was forced to take more money and save 4 days of vacation. I was never allowed to take my trailer to a conference again. The last story is called Policies Apply to Everyone. About 10 years ago, I was a regional manager for a transportation and logistics company. At the time, each regional office worked as a sort of independent company in that we had our own sales and accounting teams, as well as compliance people like safety and a driver trainer. I start by admitting that I never fully got accounting. I took the class in college, but honestly, it was still confusing. I'm not totally lost looking at the reports, but how they got there is Greek to me. I chalk it up to black magic. Our accounting department was the largest office team with a whopping 3 people. The accounts manager and 2 clerks, one for accounts receivable and one for accounts payable. All the other teams were just 2 people. We also had maintenance and loading dock crews, but they weren't part of the office. Well, in their infinite wisdom, our corporate office decided that they were going to merge some regions as a cost-saving measure. To be fair, it did save money, but it greatly increased our workload. I had all my departments submit a report on what they needed in order to meet the increased load. The loading dock manager actually had a brilliant plan that involved only hiring 1 new worker, promoting 1 to be an assistant manager and putting them on a rotating 50-hour week. It was cheaper than hiring a bunch of guys and they all agreed to it. The maintenance shop wanted 2 more mechanics, but this isn't about them. The accounts manager asked for 2 additional clerks. I was hesitant at first, but then I saw the amount of paperwork they had to process now, so I authorized it. The clerk's job was to take a paperwork packet the driver had for each delivery, would sort the papers in it, then enter data in a spreadsheet. The accounts manager used the spreadsheets along with necromancy to summon billing documents from the void to send to our customers. It was a pretty efficient system. I had a policy regarding overtime. Department managers had the discretion to hand out overtime for up to 10 hours a week, as long as they could justify it reasonably. However, if a manager required a subordinate to work overtime, the manager would work the same overtime. Our managers were salaried and exempted from overtime, and I didn't want them working their people all the time while they only worked 40 hours. Amazingly, after I implemented this policy, overtime went way down. I mention this because at year end, the accounting team always needed a ton of overtime in order to get all the closing work done on top of their normal duties. It usually involved them working as much as 80 hours a week for the whole month of January, and usually they only finished at the last minute. I usually gave them a 4-day weekend in the end. The accounts manager was usually pretty cool, not entitled, and did a good job. But this particular year, when we had even more work to do, she tried to pull a really bad move. In the middle of January, as they are all working a ton to get through year end, she announces she'll be gone for a weekend to go to a concert with some of her friends. So I asked her if she had a plan in place to make up for the lost work time with no one here working on the weekend. She looked at me confused. But the clerks will be here. Only if you are too. You are familiar with my policy. I'm okay with you all taking the weekend off, but I need to note that all the year-end work will be done in time. I do have a plan. They are working the weekend to cover for my absence. To be fair, her clerks probably didn't care, and I would have been willing to ease up on the policy in this case, because she usually was pretty good about this stuff. However, her tone completely changed that. I'm easygoing, but my subordinates do not dictate to me how things are going to be, and I told her as much. I finished with, either you are all working this weekend or none of you are. Let me know by the end of the day. In the end, she couldn't figure out a reasonable way to make up for the lost time, and she was at the office with her team. I was there too, because my policy applied to me as well. The only exception I gave myself was the loading dock crew, because there was always someone there on overtime. The accounts manager was pretty cold towards me the whole time, and on Sunday she informs me that I ruined her weekend. I considered pulling her aside to let her know sorting through driver paperwork for 12 hours a day wasn't my weekend plan either, but instead I just nodded. A few weeks later she did apologize for her behavior, and I told her I was sorry she missed her concert, and that, unfortunately, that is part of working life. Sometimes we miss out on things. Funny enough, she said that her friends thought the concert was really bad and even told her that she was lucky she didn't have to go. And now it's your time to shine. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories? I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.